Also, how are you going to get mad that these people are saying Donald Trump's going to be a dictator when he said it? Like, he said it. He was like, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. What the fuck do you mean? Like,
despite nationwide pleas to cool things down after the second.
Dude, what can the Democrats do to cool things down further? They've already adopted the right-wing framing on a key issue, immigration. Okay. They rarely ever talk about how unhinged the Republicans are. They've basically become Republicans. You just want them to step aside and let the Republican win, like default. Just finished my 12-hour shift at the copper mine. Thank you for reminding me that I should consider myself lucky and I didn't have an exhausting job being a streamer. You're welcome. This guy went from, what about left wing? Isn't that what you do? This guy literally went from talking about how Israel needs to be led by Christian governments, peaceful Christian governments, to doing old ass memes. He's back. Also, I already figured out which copper mine you work at, and I've called your foreman, and you have been slacking off at the job. Look at this. Since 1:20, you have not stopped posting in the chat. Okay? You've been slacking off. I've already informed your foreman. You're fired now. Have fun with that back pain. You will no longer get the platinum health care.
Attempt on Trump, Democrats and the liberal media are right back at it, treating the former president like he's some kind of unique threat. Hillary Clinton, never one to miss the spotlight, argues that the media isn't doing enough.
Yeah, the foreman's in here. See? He gets to actually watch the broadcast. You're fired. Sorry, chatter. We're also now going to put you in debtor's prison.
Paint Trump as a danger.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery.
Why? Why is Trump dangerous? I mean it sincerely. Why is Donald Trump a danger to the country? Say it out loud. Is it the anti-immigrant sentiment? Or is it simply that he's not a Democrat?
His danger to our country and the world. Americans need to understand that they have to take Trump both seriously and literally. He has said what he wants to do. He and his allies with Project 2025, his desire to be a dictator.
Hillary's friends in the media couldn't wait to jump in, quick to twist the story and pin the blame on the GOP and Trump himself for the attempt.
The Trump campaign is seizing on this apparent attempt as a way to rile up his base.
Violent rhetoric in America in presidential campaigns.
I'm not gonna lie. I love how ruthless libs are. I love how ruthless liberals are sometimes. Like, liberal media is such, they're such little demons. They're like, they do actually engage in that like passive aggressive so frequently when talking about Trump. When they want to be ruthless, they are ruthless. Like, they're literally like, yep, Trump is taking advantage of his attempt again. Good. I like it. Keep up that energy all the time.
Campaigns has been unprecedented since Donald Trump first came onto the scene in 2016.
The violence is coming from them.
The former president certainly could do a lot to make himself safer.
Bro, that's crazy. Small amounts of explosive. Yeah, by the way, I have to come clean. Me and Ryan Ruth as the premier. This is so funny because I had this a tweet lined up already to talk about it. Me and Ryan Ruth, defending Taiwan as the Taiwanese Foreign Legion, actually put together a meeting with Israeli officials around 5 months ago, where we sent the Israeli parliamentary delegation to Taiwan so that the Taiwanese company Gold Apollo could allow, Semtex to be put inside of the pagers. I love you, bro. Please stop doing this. Okay, all jokes aside, though, the pagers Israel exploded were made by Taiwanese company Gold Apollo. The pagers were reportedly imported 5 months ago, mid-April 2024, which lines up closely with the Knesset delegation visit to Taiwan, during which Tsai pledged a deep in partnership between the two countries. Yeah, that's the update, is that this also calls into question, there are the China ties. What China ties? Do you mean China ties? This calls into question the American State Department being like, this was done without our knowledge. You think the Israeli delegation goes to Taiwan and the American government has no idea what they're talking about there? Come on, dog. Unless you were doing like, you know, Taiwan is China style commentary here, in which case, you know, something to think about. How do they go months, though, without any of the 1,000 pages being inspected or maintenance that would have discovered that? I guess they did. Seems like the CIA had a heads up at AUB, American University of Beirut Medical Center, at a crucial time when AUBMC physicians, nurses, and staff have been fully mobilized to deal with the aftermath of today's injuries. Several malicious social media outlets have started spreading rumors and conspiracy theories about the types of communication systems AUB has in place, attempting to link AUB to this tragic event. The university categorically denies these baseless allegations. Following are the facts. Our paging system infrastructure was upgraded on April 2024. The go live for switching to the new system took place on August 29th, 2024. The scope of this upgrade was to enhance emergency and code communication as several devices and systems had become obsolete. Damn, dude, that lines up so perfectly. That's crazy. The American University of Beirut Medical Center has received over 160 seriously injured individuals over the last 3 hours, with more to come. Our full focus must be on saving lives. Is Lebanon going to sue Motorola now? Why the fuck would they sue Motorola? It wasn't even Motorola pagers. It was a Taiwanese company by the name of Gold Apollo that these guys got the pagers from. It literally doesn't line up. This started 2 weeks ago. The new pagers were implemented 5 months ago. No, you're mistaken. The new pagers were ordered. The new pagers were ordered like the Israeli strategic planning. The Israeli strategic planning around this incident, according to their own admission, was around 5 months ago. Anyway, are you gaming today, big dog? Yes.
Donald Trump wants Kamala Harris.
Wait, Don Lemon is back on CNN?
Harris and others to stop saying that he is a threat to democracy, then he should stop threatening democracy.
Quit blaming folks until you decide to take a look at what's coming out of your mouth.
Right now, you have a former president who, yes, has been the target of a parent twice, but is also an instigator of political violence.
All right, Jesse, they've called him Hitler. They say he's dangerous. He's an existential threat. And Hillary doesn't understand why it's so difficult for to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. What does she want, a bounty on his head?
She does. Fidel Castro, we tried to him. Dictator Mao, Stalin, we fought a Cold War against him. Mussolini, Hitler, we went to World War II against those guys. Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, 2 dictators we violently overthrew. So when you have a media industrial complex that repeats that this one politician is a dictator, it goes deep into the...
Bro, the only thing common with like all of those names that you put together, some of which fascist, some of which communist, many of which fought against one another, okay, is that they're just all against us. Like, that's crazy to say Fidel Castro and Hitler, or Fidel Castro and Stalin, like, sorry, Hitler and Stalin.
The American subconscious that sees a dictator as someone that needs to be eliminated. And it's in our DNA as Americans, whether it's a king, an autocrat, or a dictator.
Yeah, dude, that's why everyone's always trying to eliminate MBS. Oh, wait, this is Fox News. You guys give English-speaking interviews to MBS. No, you don't give a fuck about dictators, you idiot. Shut up.
Want to push them out of power because of what happened in the...
The only thing that is common here is that America consistently calls all of their enemies dictators and never cares about, like, dictators that are aligned with them.
Revolutionary War. And you're inviting lost souls looking for a reason to live, to want to be a hero, to want to be a savior, to save democracy. And look at how the media is characterizing this guy, Ryan Ruth. They've called him a crusader for causes. They've called...
Also, how are you going to get mad that these people are saying Donald Trump's going to be a dictator when he said it? Like, he said it. He was like, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. What do you mean? Like...
Called him a super citizen. They've said he has a sense of duty that's apparently driven him. Those aren't the things you call, those are crazy things that should never be associated with a guy. Now, after the first...
Okay, but he has aura, man. What are you going to do? Like, look at this photo. I'm shocked that people haven't made, like, fan cams about this dude yet.
Nation attempt. Guy was a little opaque. And so Trump said, let's have a moment of unity for this country. And even Joe Biden said, let's calm things down. And then they went right back to it. And then you have a second attempt, and Donald Trump has had it. You get 2 shots, that's enough. And he laid the blame squarely on the left. And instead of having a little bit of self-reflection, the left got defensive. And they said, no, you're responsible for people trying to kill yourself. And then Don Lemon says basically, Trump needs to stop running or else he's going to get more bullets. That's crazy. We are in a danger zone right now, Judge Jeanine, and I'm really, really praying for the health and safety of this president.
You know, Harold, if Donald Trump's rhetoric is to be blamed for his own attempts, if someone tried to, God forbid, Kamala, blaming Trump would be off the table, wouldn't it? I mean, he wouldn't be responsible for that too, would he?
Yeah, the difference is Donald Trump says violent on a daily basis. So do Republican commentators. Democrats don't. Like, that's the problem. Like, it doesn't make sense. What do you mean? Like, the idea is that, like, Democrats are running against Republicans, so now Republicans are getting shot at? Like, is that what the argument is? It's ridiculous.
It's good to be with you. I don't
Dude, this is happening as there is a national story about, like, 1 million threats in Springfield, Ohio, after the Republicans put the crosshairs on Springfield, Ohio. There is not a single place there's not a single person in the United States that is free of right-wing scrutiny. If the lens of right-wing media is on you, you are going to get death threats. You're going to get swatted. You're going to get threats. That is now just a part of our reality, a part of our political discourse. So for these people to act like stochastic is happening because of the left or because of liberals is so insane. Is so insane. I'm melting because I'm losing my mind. It is now, yes, as J.D. Vance once said, a fact of life. And it's crazy. And by the way, chatters, if you think that, like, you can get away with it, you're wrong. Okay? If you get in the crosshairs of the right, they will dox you. They will harass you endlessly. And I say that as someone who is in the crosshairs of the right all the time. That's it. There are people in this chat that know exactly what I'm talking about.
blame any specific person. I've tried to say over and over again that we live in a time where all of this seems to be being catalyzed and empowered by kind of a circular reinforcing media and social media. I think we live in a time where people are able to say things.
This guy sucks. He's nowhere near as good as Jessica Tarkov, and they just let him run his mouth.
You know, Wolf Blitzer says that the Trump camp is actually seizing on
growing anger.
It's just so annoying.
Is already spilling out on the campaign trail, including in new comments by Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, where he appears to use what happened in Florida to fire up the supporters. Caitlin.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Whoever's helping her, whoever's coaching her, whoever's the puppet master running the strings.
Yeah.
You know.
We should all call the campaign and say they're from Erie County, Pennsylvania, and won't vote for her unless she goes left. No, you should call her and say you're from Erie County, Pennsylvania, and say if she doesn't do NATO, you're not voting for her. And just hang up. Just do that. That's me. That's my take. If Kamala Harris doesn't do NATO like Brandon did NATO, I'm not voting for her. As a matter of fact, even if she does do NATO, I'm still not voting for her. Why? Because I'm voting for Joseph Robinette Biden, okay? The real president. The current president. It's really up what they did to him. I was one of the 14 million voters, okay? That's right. I'm saying it.
An amazing job.
She did a great job.
They did an amazing job from the moment Biden drops out, forcing Biden to drop out. Right, whatever they're doing, whoever's writing those speeches, getting her to deliver them, coaching her, she's nailing it. She nailed that one speech. She's like, say it to my face.
Oh, yeah,
everybody's cheering.
Yeah, she nailed it, dude.
And then
also, remember the New York Times did a study after 2020 that determined real undecided voters were a myth. Almost everyone they studied already had selected their vote early. The reason they were undecided is they were undecided why they are voting for that person. So they work backwards to justify it later using what the candidates do/say.
And last night, to me, when I was like, oh my God, this is jujitsu, where she was like, if you go to his rallies, his crowds are boring, they're tired. My crowds are the best crowds. I have the #1 crowd. He couldn't help himself.
And she got him. She baited him on that. She walked him right into it.
100%. 100%. See, the difference in that debate was not a difference in like who's going to have better policies, who's going to be better for the country. The difference in the debate, in my opinion, was who was better prepared. She was way better prepared.
Yeah, dude, Trump totally has better policies. I love when people just say this because, like, Kamala Harris objectively policyless, but it's not like Trump has any policies either. What is this idiotic double standard that every smart thinker always posts about? Like, they're always chirping about this.
Yeah.
And even when it came to answering tough questions, instead of answering, she would just say things that she believes.
Yeah, sure.
And they sounded real good.
Yeah, that's
the soundbite.
That's called being a savvy politician.
It's also called being someone who's working with a team versus someone who's like, they said Trump, that deal was the best deal. They've never seen a deal like this before. They said, how did you put that deal together?
People say that was just brilliant. Yeah, I know. He was like,
he's not working with a team that's like, I mean, I know he's doing like mock debates. I know he did one with, I think he did one with Tulsi Gabbard, but someone needs to like tell him, like, you've got these tiny little windows and you should have all the words ready for those windows.
He started
there should be no repeating things.
COVID would have never happened if Trump was president. That's fire. Bro, do you really need to run so many ads? You're already a millionaire. I'm trying to learn about leftist policies and I'm inundated, assaulted by capitalist framing and societal conditioning. Jesus Christ. I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. Capitalism is when you run ads. Socialism is when no ad. The friend who's too woke. Yeah. Shut up, nerd. Genuine question. Why do you shit on NATO so hard? Is it the Western imperialism? Are there other reasons? Excuse me. You are talking to the only eligible NATO voter right now because the last NATO voter is now in federal prison. Okay? How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you come here and tell me that I on NATO so hard? I love NATO and the Nazi generals that were in charge of it, that Americans put into positions of power, and also all the fascist groups that they worked with in Western Europe and also in Turkey. I love the ultra-nationalist gray wolves that were propped up by NATO to operate as a right-wing paramilitary death squad in my country. Okay? I love that. I'm a fan of that. I'm a radical NATOist, and that's why I'm voting for Biden.
And Huey Burns is in Michigan, where the former president will campaign today. Caitlin, good morning.
And good morning to you, Nate. Well, the former president is not changing any plans, and he is continuing his campaign as usual. But he is adding to his messaging, blaming Vice President Kamala Harris for what happened on Monday. The former president said that Harris and President Biden's rhetoric is, quote, causing me to be shot at. And his running mate, J.D. Vance, echoed that sentiment while on the campaign trail in Georgia yesterday.
But you know the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to Kamala Harris.
I have some Afghanis that might have a cool idea for you. Yes, I've been in contact with Ryan. He put me in contact with the 1,000 NATO-trained Afghan soldiers, and I'm sending them to, we're doing NATO, and as in Palestine is now, historic Palestine is now a part of NATO, okay? I'm sending those guys into
in the last couple of months, and 2 people now have tried to Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out.
Now, Biden and Harris have denounced the violence, and Harris said everyone must do their part to make sure this incident doesn't lead to...
The people at my DSA meeting said you're a fake leftist. That's so funny. Oh, no. I lost the DSA vote, dude. Did they do that in between snaps in order not to, you know, stimulate those with some auditory processing issues? Is that what happened?
To more violence. And today, Trump returns to the battleground state of Michigan, holding a town hall here in Flint. CBS News polling shows a virtual dead heat here in Michigan, and the real fight in this state is over union workers. The United Auto Workers Union has endorsed Harris, But another key union endorsement from the Teamsters is up for grabs. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican National Convention earlier this summer, met with Harris yesterday as part of that decision-making process. And O'Brien said a decision on who or if the union endorses a candidate.
He's an undecided voter.
It could come as soon as tomorrow. And as for the Harris campaign, the vice president is going to be traveling to Pennsylvania today. And on Thursday, she will be right here in Michigan hosting a live stream with Oprah Winfrey. Tony?
Caitlin, thank you very much.
I was one of the first people here yesterday at 8.
Some people lining up overnight to get a chance at sitting front row at the Dort Financial Center in Flint tonight when former President Donald Trump holds a town hall. Now,
It hasn't started. It hasn't began yet. With Sarah Sanders, ugh.
None of the attempt on former President Trump at one of his golf courses in Florida. Trump spoke about it overnight after the suspect appeared in court for the first time. Rachel Scott is in West Palm Beach with the latest on the investigation. Good morning, Rachel.
George, we are learning new details this morning. Officials say this is where the suspect was camped out for nearly 12 hours in those bushes. Just over those hedges is the golf course. A Secret Service agent just one hole ahead, spotting the barrel of a rifle sticking out.
Keep walking!
Overnight, new body camera video showing the moment officers arrested the 58-year-old man who they say camped out on Donald Trump's golf course for 12 hours, allegedly trying to him.
What's your name, Ryan?
Trump was moving across the fair.
My NATO king, who also wanted to invite Kim Jong-un to his house.
Wait, near the fifth hole, a Secret Service agent yelling out gun, spotting a barrel of a rifle sticking out from the fence.
All of a sudden, we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets, and they grabbed me.
The former president recounting it all during an online conversation on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter.
I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job.
Secret Service immediately surrounding Trump and taking him to a safe location. Sources say agents fired 4 to 6 rounds.
The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene. He did not fire or get off any shots at our agents. With reports of gunfire, the former president's close protection detail immediately evacuated the president to a safe location.
That suspect, Ryan Ralph, taking off on foot, jumping into a black Nissan SUV. A witness spotting him driving off, taking a picture of the license plate number and alerting police.
He was smart. He was just driving with the flow of traffic. Yeah, I think that he may have thought he got away with it.
45 minutes later, police tracked down the suspect.
Why not focus more on people sitting at home instead of undecided voters, which is arguably a much larger group? 2 reasons. 1, because everyone's lazy, and 2, because it is hard to get non-voters to go out and vote.
Suspect traveling northbound on I-95.
Driver! Take 2 steps to your right!
You can see him exiting the vehicle, taken into custody.
Also, non-voters are never, and I mean never, going to go and vote for either of these parties in the way that they currently are. And they're not going to go out and vote no matter how hard one party goes ham on immigration rhetoric. They are not harm reduction voters, right? They don't give a, they might give a, if there was a real policy out there that could genuinely improve their lives, right? But overall, it's not going to happen currently.
Hearing in court Monday, facing 2 felony gun charges. Authorities say he had a low.
Do you think there's anything Trump could do to get you to vote for him? If he did a complete 180 and became as far left as you possibly can be, what would you do? It would never happen. He would have to, it's just not a real thing. I would not believe him. There's no way.
Loaded SKS, a Soviet-style semi-automatic rifle with scope, a digital camera, a backpack, and a bag containing food. This is now the second attempt on the former president's life in just 9 weeks, raising serious questions about how an armed man was able to get within 400 yards of Trump under heightened security protocol. The acting director of the Secret Service admitting that his agents did not search the perimeter of the golf course, explaining that the president wasn't even really supposed to go there. Was the golf course searched thoroughly before the former president's arrival?
So at this time, It was an off-the-record movement, meaning it was not on the former president's official schedule.
And was there any evidence to suggest that the suspect knew that Donald Trump was going to be on that golf course at that time?
Based on what I know now, and it's an active investigation, I don't have any information on that.
The Secret Service promising the highest levels of protection for the former president. Trump and President Biden speaking by phone.
He was very nice today. He called up to make sure I was okay, to make sure that, do I have any suggestions?
But Trump blaming his political opponents. Still, Democrats, from President Biden to Vice President Kamala Harris, were quick to condemn political violence.
Let me just say, there is no, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, those of you who know me, many of you do, no place in political violence for political violence in America. None. Zero. Never.
FBI officials have been on the scene. Officials have blocked off this road. They say this is the area where the suspect ran out of those bushes, attempted to flee, getting inside of that vehicle. As for former President Donald Trump, well, he is back out on the campaign trail today. He has a town hall in Michigan. He has a rally in New York tomorrow. The former president keeping with that busy campaign schedule. You heard from the acting director of the Secret Service insisting that he has the highest levels of protection.